It feels like fun builds in League of Legends have been dying. Long gone are the days of 1000 AP one-shots being entertaining. Maybe everyone's already figured out all the good builds. Maybe I stopped being creative when I became a tryhard. Maybe Riot has just been removing fun things. No matter what, things have felt kinda stale. But in a pursuit to enjoy this godforsaken game, I hopped on my ult with the intention to climb the troll build, and this made me think of the champ that I've always enjoyed. Nasus. His simple kit with different scalings allows you to do a plethora of builds on it. And for this video, I decided to do Crit Nasus. Before I get to the matches that I played, let me break down Nasus's kit for you. Nasus is an Ascended God Warrior that's over 3,700 years old. Him being that old naturally means that his kit is really simple. His passive is Lifesteal. Just Lifesteal. His Q, his bread and butter, is an empowered auto attack that grows in strength for every kill that he gets with it. Nasus's W is a point and click slow that leaves enemy champions moving slower than him. It's also a cripple that lowers their attack speed. His E is an AoE magic damage field that also reduces the opponent's armor, up to 50%.
Wow.
His R combined with the rest of his kit makes him an Empire State Building sized walk-in stat check, adding a bunch of defensive stats and reducing the cooldown of his Q by 50%. If it wasn't obvious by now, Crit works amazing with his Q. Anytime his Q crits, it'll be enough damage to send his opponents into a state of shock. Alright, let's get into the games. My first game was a prime example of how easy it is to play Nasus in Bronze, since that's where I'm going to be starting. Facing a Trundle, I knew he'd probably lack the brain cells to realize that there's such a thing as too aggressive. He constantly shoved me in and let me stack Q. I was ganked, and then ganked. But I didn't care because I was stacking either way. And just like most low elo top laners, Trundle refused to back and missed CS. So he gave a kill and lost CS. Who would have thought? I was in all ways chilling top, until I started to see the teammates that I've always seen Bronze players complain about. Arrogant players that thought they knew everything started just bicker and bicker after each dog shit play that they made. But I continued on. While I didn't want to lose, these games are about stacks, not LP, so I continued ignoring all the fighting in chat, splitting and doing my best to avoid the Trundle that my team made a monster out of. I got enough gold and stacks to be a real threat. After a close end, support from the only player that didn't spew out constant shit talk, and a 1v1 Trundle, we were able to win the game with little issue. The second game wasn't much of a game. I played into a Shen that did not know how to make me suffer early. It felt like he was allergic to fighting me unless I had a massive minion wave, and even when he did properly attack me, I just sped out of it. I stacked a bit, and once again another person refused to back, so he died. After 2 ganks found right, the game was over with an FF from the enemy team. The third game was about as lame as the second, but on the opposite end of the spectrum. I played into a Garen that did nothing but proxy until 14 minutes. Naturally, after my first back and buying a completed Triforce, I tried to see if I could stat check the Garen and his jungler, but it didn't end up in a 1-for-1 like I hoped. My team was feeding way too hard, and I thought about switching up my build to try to save the game, but it would go against the entire point of me even doing this, so it ended horribly in a drawn out match. After the loss of the last game, I felt kinda like shit, and this next game didn't feel much better. I got put mid and I knew it was going to be tough being in the short lane and having to deal with a mage. Building AP could have been my way out of this tricky situation, but it would have betrayed everything I believed in. Luckily, there was nothing to fear. I was put against a Shen, and he played like the last one, although a little bit better. He let me stack as much as I wanted. The biggest issue was he knew how to run away and how to set up ganks. My jungler sucked at setting anything up, so my only hope was the bot lane that was doing well. Until this happened. I pretty much just checked out after that, and just farmed as many stacks as I could. Being faced with gank after gank, not having nearly as many stacks as I wanted, I went complete brain dead. I just went to side lanes, and it turned out that's exactly where I should have been all along. I applied enough pressure for my team to follow up, and with that we won the game. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't paying attention in Champ Select and I didn't choose my runes for my last promo game. But, fortunately for me, Riot had the grace to give me Phase Rush into Darius. It's a matchup that I have a tougher time with. It gets especially worse when you don't have any defensive stats. And I thought I'd just play it safe and stack until my team was feeding 2 deaths per minute. So, I did the only natural thing, and I grieved for a cannon, without a care in the world. I live by the stacks, and I die by the stacks. And apparently so did the enemy Lee Sin, having hubris at 8 minutes. And with Lee Sin being fed out his gourd, I put no faith in this Rel as she tried to gank me. I hadn't noticed that she was actually doing quite well. This badass got me a nice 12 stacker and a shutdown. That's exactly when I started to have some faith. My carry was detected, and I knew I was just ending these placements 4-1 with enough stacks of my own. With my faith reinvigorated, I just let my team do their own shit as I ignored them. Like a true top laner. Rel made the enemy's FF, so I had to honor her. And with that, the ending to it all, the goal of this video, was to be placed while building something kinda trash. And where did it get me? Bronze 1. Yeah. Playing shitty builds in Bronze shouldn't be too difficult. And I'm not trying to make it to where I just sit this low and, have some great builds that only work in Bronze. So if you have any build suggestions, let me know. And if you made it this far, please check out my other videos. And maybe leave a like, subscribe if you haven't. Either way, thank you for watching.